Mi nem engedjük be az illegális migránsokat. Mi megvédjük a határokat. A határ engedély nélküli átlépése bűncselekmény. Csak az jöhet be, akinek engedélyt adunk. És az engedélyt a határokon kívül kell megvárnia. Magyarországon a migránsok száma 0. Mi nem adjuk át az országunkat, nem engedjük, hogy megváltoztassák a kultúránkat. Magyarország a mi otthonunk, és otthon akarjuk benne érezni magunkat.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has ignited fresh controversy with his recent statement on social media, accusing the European Union of turning lives upside down by supporting war instead of peace and prioritizing migration over the needs of European families. He reiterated that Hungary has 0 migrants and vowed to prevent any changes to the country's culture, further fueling his anti-immigration and nationalist rhetoric. Orbán concluded by stating that Patriots for Europe will stop it, reinforcing his opposition to EU leadership and policies.
Magyarországon a migránsok száma 0. Mi nem adjuk át az országunkat, nem engedjük, hogy megváltoztassák a kultúránkat. Magyarország a mi otthonunk, és otthon akarjuk benne érezni magunkat. De az európai baloldal és a brüsszeli bürokraták ma együtt büntetik Magyarországot.
This message aligns with Hungary's ongoing opposition to several EU strategies since the onset of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. While NATO members have shown strong collective support for Ukraine, Hungary has consistently taken an alternative stance, prioritizing its economic ties with Russia. Orbán has objected to economic sanctions on Moscow, arguing that these punitive measures harm European economies more than they impact Russia, while contributing to rising energy costs across the continent.
If this continues, the European economy will die. But I would add something more serious than that. The European economy cannot die because of its bad economic policy. It will fall apart even before that. And not because of the economy, but because of migration. People are fed up with this, and the forces that are against migration and are on the side of the people are coming up.
Orbán's continued relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin significantly influences Hungary's divergence from NATO's unified stance on the war. Recently, Orbán has been outspoken in calling for a ceasefire and peace talks, positions many in the West view as overly conciliatory toward the Kremlin. Since the war began, Hungary has refused to allow weapons to transit its territory en route to Ukraine, and Orbán has been highly critical of arms shipments and military support, arguing that these measures escalate the conflict rather than resolve it. Hungary's foreign minister has emphasized that the country would block any future sanctions that might harm its energy interests, particularly with Russian gas supplies still flowing in. Orbán's persistent calls for peace have led to significant tensions with his European and NATO counterparts. Critics accuse the Hungarian leader of siding with Putin and failing to uphold NATO principles, which are crucial for countering Russian aggression in Ukraine. Consequently, Hungary has become increasingly isolated within the EU and NATO, with many accusing Orbán of exploiting nationalist sentiments to further his political goals at home while destabilizing the Western alliance. Recent reports indicate that several NATO diplomats are deeply concerned about Hungary's close relationship with Russia and its refusal to support Western efforts to pressure Putin through sanctions and military aid to Ukraine. At the same time, Orbán's government continues to amplify its anti-migration message, linking the war in Ukraine to broader fears about cultural change and migration.
We will continue to protect the borders from illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants will not enter Europe through Hungary and through the southern border of Schengen. Those who receive political asylum under the rule of law procedure in accordance with EU rules and on the basis of their voluntary decision are offered a one-way, free trip to Brussels.
These positions resonate with certain segments of Hungary's population, particularly as Orbán presents himself as a defender of traditional European values. Despite widespread criticism, Orbán remains steadfast in his views, showing no signs of backing down from his pro-Russian stance or opposition to the EU's migration policies. This growing divide between Hungary and its NATO allies raises questions about the future cohesion of the alliance, especially as the war in Ukraine continues with no immediate end in sight.